like I said, recently, we've been doing the lefty arc, okay, and this means that we're big socialist boys, all right, big strong socialist boys, and because of this, we have to defend socialism at every turn. We have to defend Milady's honor. And I stumbled across this YouTube channel. It's called Stopping Socialism TV. And I guess their plan is to stop socialism.
Haskins here for StoppingSocialism.com. Thanks for discovering our video.
I don't like you. I don't like you. So yeah, USSR bad. Joe Biden is a socialist. AOC is actually cringe or something. Bernie Sanders is big mean. Top 3 arguments against socialism, and they've only been posting for 5 months. I don't know if this is a real account or anything. I feel like they're being paid. I feel like they're being paid by something. I feel like there's some big organization behind the scenes paying for them. Oh, wait a second. Henry Dearborn Institute. Defend liberty and Western tradition. You knew it had to be true. Our work, stopping socialism. Yeah, sounds about right. Okay, so yeah, we found it. We found the group funding them. Okay, well that was pretty easy. It just links on their YouTube channel. It links on their YouTube channel. Okay, so listen, everyone. All right. Socialism, pretty pog. These guys, they apparently, so this video is, they say that capitalism doesn't work. Socialists say that capitalism doesn't work. And I watched a little bit of it, and what they do is they're going through a meme that was sent to them, a mean anti-capitalism meme on their YouTube channel, and or something on their Facebook or whatever, and they're gonna like dissect it and tell you why capitalism is actually the great good. Here we go, boys.
All right, Donald Kendall here with another Stopping Socialism video, joined as always by Justin Haskins. This is going to be continuing our little series that we're doing. We're basically responding to the
look at this freaking Anthony Fantano lookalike, balding ass, molding over socialism over. And this guy, who's this? He reminds me of someone. I think it's like TJ Kirk. He looks like TJ Kirk's little brother. He looks like TJ Kirk's angry little brother. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's just me.
The more popular pro-socialism memes that people are trying to troll us with in our Facebook page. So we've done a few of these already. So Justin, you got another one on hand. Let's see that spicy meme. Okay, all right. This one's got a little bit. It's gonna be a little more difficult for
me. You don't even crop out like the where you. Okay. The Windows freaking picture finder. You're not even gonna crop that out. Okay. All right. Sick. We got boomers on deck. So let's read this. 18 million people a year die from poverty-related causes. I think they're going to read it. So let's see.
Me to read a little bit of a longer one here. So it says that 18 million people. Okay.
Sorry.
Roll up. You're fine.
There we go.
18 million people die each year from poverty-related causes.
This is true.
What does that say?
That says 1/3 of all human deaths.
1/3 of all human deaths. Global agriculture production can feed more than 1.18 times the global population. 865 million people go hungry. There are more than 5 vacant homes for every homeless person in the United States. 77.5% of U.S. households are in debt. 1 in 7 U.S. residents is being pursued by a debt collector. And then it just kind of ends with a big old, oh, no, capitalism doesn't work. All right. I guess we should pack.
This is true.
It in, Justin.
Yep, pack it in. It's time to end, my duder. This is true. Whoa, now, bud. Stop. No, don't spam chat. You'll be okay. I promise you. You'll be fine. Okay, so all of the things they are true. These are real numbers. I looked them up before I did this. So this meme is real and is very true. So let's see what they have to say about it.
This is capitalism. Must be worse than socialism. So I guess we should just close up shop.
It is. So I'm sorry. It's true. I'm sorry, my dudes. You're not gonna. We've got you in our grasp. Okay, we got you right where we want you. So let's see if they can debunk it.
Where did this memer go wrong?
So one of the things I love about this meme is that it's actually Bernie Sanders uses basically his entire campaign is this meme. Mm-hmm. It's essentially
rhetoric. Okay, for one thing, not all of these things like come together. Obviously, they're like different. They're there are problems, where are those 18 million people dying a year from, poverty? Can we like conceivably get food to them without like running over like other, like getting into like a war or something? How where are those homes? Why are those homes vacant? How could we get those homes? It's just how did those households get in debt specifically? Can socialism fix all of the debt? There's obviously a little bit of nuance here, but it's rhetoric. Okay. So that's the first thing. So when you're doing rhetoric, a lot of nuance falls to the wayside just by pushing a message. And that's fine for a piece like this. It's just a meme.
The world is a terrible place.
True.
And and here are all the problems that exist.
Yes.
And because all these problems exist,
you getting it?
It's proof of the fact that the current system is terrible, and therefore we should have a different system, socialism.
Wait, do you like disagree with that? Do you see all these problems and you're like, yes, it's working perfectly. Oh, look how great things are. Do you see, like, they're not even going to look this up. Okay. So they're going to go on under the assumption that this is true. Okay. So if we all agree that these things are true and they're happening in the world under largely capitalist systems, how are you gonna say that the system's working well? Is this works just fine? Listen, remember, it's a feature, not a bug.
And yes, I know socialism has caused all sorts of other problems around the world, but I don't like that kind of socialism. I like this other kind of socialism that no one's ever experienced anywhere ever in the history of human civilization.
Wait, what? I mean, okay, wait, I'm going to let these guys talk a little bit more, but all these problems around the world. Listen, even if socialism has caused some problems around the world, which I'm sure it has, to like some authoritarian states, to some even like some mass killings, that this could definitely happen. We could talk about the USSR with silencing dissidents, the mass purges that happened. This could definitely happen. And that's happening under a socialist, system. But we're gonna, these guys aren't gonna involve any nuance. Like, what is a death? I know for a fact these guys are like, the socialism has killed 100 million people. How do those people die? How do you calculate a death by socialism? How do you calculate a death by capitalism? How does this work? There's like lots of like gray area there, and the 100 million number isn't even like a like scientifically accurate one. It's one by. I think I remember that's a number put forward by someone who's like trying to like rack up all the numbers that they possibly can to get the worst one, and their work was discredited by other researchers in the field. But we'll see what these guys have to say.
But they will when I become president. That's the Bernie Sanders campaign summed up in like 40 seconds or something.
Well, for one, he said he can fix some of them if, for one, Congress helps, because presidents don't do literally everything. And thankfully, we see under like Donald Trump. And he wasn't even pushing for socialism. He's just like he's just like he was, for all intents and purposes, in office. He's a sockdam. So he wasn't. Yeah, I think in his private life he's a socialist, but for when it comes to like him running as president and being in office, he's a sockdam at best.
Yeah. So what's really dumb about that way of thinking is it ignores the tremendous amount of progress that has occurred in capitalist societies over the past, really since the creation of capitalism. But
wait, okay. So just because one system has done good, doesn't mean that it's like all good, and doesn't mean that there's still severe problems with it. All right. If you use, I don't know, if you like steal a bunch of people's like underwear and then you tie it together and you use it to get like to like make it into a rope, like Rapunzel or something, to help like a homeless person from being stuck in the bottom of a well, that's cool and everything, but stealing people's underwear isn't cool. Just because the system has helped some people doesn't mean that it helps all people, for one, and doesn't mean that it's all good and we should still work under it. Sure, capitalism has, in the system, while we've been having capitalism, lots of people generally have been pulled out of poverty. This has been true. It's happened while capitalism been around, to the extent that, specifically capitalism helped, because there is no pure capitalist system. We'll get to that later, I'm pretty sure. But with that being said, like, okay, it doesn't mean these problems don't exist. It's a good like whataboutism to be like, yeah, sure, this is bad, but what about all these good things though?
For especially over the past 100, 150, 200 years, that time period, life has gotten significantly better. and exponentially so in the last, say, 50, 60, 70 years. Life is always improving. Things are getting much, much better. Are there still
Well, I'd even like contend with that a little bit, because ever since the 1960s, people's wages have been, stagnant. This has been a big problem. It seems like for the last 50, 60 years, like the gears of pulling the tide that rises all ships has been stuck on one small part of the sea, where these ships are rising a whole lot, and lots of people's ships aren't rising much at all, and lots of people's ships even are falling into freaking Davy Jones' locker, if we're going to continue with this analogy.
Problems? Sure. Of course there are still problems. Is there still poverty in the world? Yes. Is poverty bad? Yes. Do I want everyone to be wealthy? Yep, I do. I want everyone to be wealthy. I want everyone to have a great life.
Well, I don't think this system can facilitate everyone being wealthy. Really wealthy people have to be the exception. That's just how it works. If everyone's wealthy, the system it just doesn't work. You need. See, this is the one problem that New York's having, is that lots of people who help the system run, people like janitors, people like lower skilled workers and everything, who are in lower skilled jobs, they are needed to help the country run, to help the city run, but they're being priced out of living in the city, so they're no longer going to the city, and that's causing a lot of problems. In some of these cities, they even have to start paying janitors like $70,000 a year, just because they have so many vacant seats and they just can't fill them, because it just doesn't pay enough to keep it running. So this system just cannot work with everybody being wealthy. So even if you say that you do, that can't happen.
Themselves. I want us to be able to feed more people. I want us to have fewer homeless people. I want all of these problems that are talked about here addressed. And
sure, but he doesn't have any solutions. You can want whatever you want. I can want a freaking massive strawberry cheesecake to fall into my lap right now. But wishing it doesn't really make it true. And in this system that we have, it's almost impossible to get that done.
Single thing that he mentions here has gotten better over the past 100 years. Everything has gotten better, except
well, I'm not necessarily sure with that. Well, debt for one has not gotten better. Vacant homes to homeless people has not gotten better. That's gotten far worse. Global hunger, I'm not sure if that's gotten better necessarily, but not everything on here has gotten better. Some of these things have gotten far worse, actually.
Except in socialist countries, where everything has been getting worse for the past however long those socialist countries survived. Because guess what? There hasn't even been a socialist country that's a truly socialist country.
Oh, cats are neat. Thank you so much for the 100 biddies. This boomer figured out how to buy bits. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. And thanks for the gay flag. We really love the gays here. We love them. See, where's my money, Vicus? All right, look at you. You're slacking. Once you'll get emotes, let's go. But thank you. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much.
That survived 100 years. So we can't even look at a beginning and end date for that.
Wait, also, hasn't socialism, like the idea of socialism, been around for, I think, just about 200 years? So a system that in its creation has been around for less time than capitalism. I mean, sure, yeah, it hasn't gone to the full fruition as capitalism has. Also, name me a capitalist country that's been around for 100 years, a real capitalist country. I'm talking about free market, laissez-faire capitalist country. Please tell me one. I'd love to see it, because one thing that you can't tell me, I'm going to big camera this, okay? One thing that you can't tell me is that you can find one. It doesn't exist. It doesn't happen. All right. We were closer to that, but people decided that actually having capitalism just have the run of the roost is like having a fox in the hen house. It's not good. It's not good. It feeds on poor people. Like actual just free market, do whatever you want, buy whatever you want. Just like anarcho-capitalist system is insane. It doesn't work for anyone. It makes everyone's lives worse. Like the seed, it'll have a massive underclass of people and a very small group of people who are extremely wealthy compared to what we have even now today. It cannot work. It just will not function. It will eat itself whole. For like the ones at the top taking all the money. It's like a mosquito just sucking the blood from the underclass dry until the bottom of the system falls out, and something happens. Someone does something, and then the rich people just pack their bags and get out of there because they're just so damn rich. They don't have to care about the system falling out then, because they're going to be so disconnected. They could just like get out of town. And this is why you don't see a pure capitalist system. It just doesn't work.
So lots of progress made throughout the world. You can point to countries like India is a great example of it. China is a great example of it. These are countries that were much more socialistic than they are today. They introduced not that much capitalism, but a little bit of capitalism into their systems, and literally hundreds of millions of people escaped poverty as a result of doing that. You look at the wealthiest, most successful places on the face of the planet, they're all capitalist countries. None of them are socialist countries.
You learned that like just there's a reason why we don't see it is because capitalism just like unregulated, it just doesn't work. No one wants it. No one would want it. The only people who want it are the ones that think that they're going to be at the top. It's the type of people who like fawn over like the USSR super hard, just super tanky, just the authoritarian ones because they're going to be the strong man, they're the ones who are going to be part of the central committee. It just like it doesn't work. No one wants it. And a lot of people who like push for like hardcore capitalism forget that there is no true capitalist system. We all live in a mixed market. Some closer to what some people idealize as socialism, and some sadly far closer to what we idealize as like pure capitalism.
So the whole idea that this is proof of capitalism failing because there are still problems in the world is nonsense. Of course, there's problems in the world.
Yeah, and some problems are getting even worse because of this system. Yeah.
But 18 million people.
Also, I don't want to listen. I'll pull out the argument. Okay, even the USSR was able to rapidly industrialize their economy from basically a feudal like farm state to one of the big, if not these, I think at the time, at the peak of the USSR, like the second most powerful nation in the world, first people to put someone into space, like massive contributions to medical science and physics and everything, and space exploration, and still today to an extent. The USSR was able to rapidly industrialize their country, to a lot of people suffered under that. Like a lot of people suffered in India, lots of people suffered in China right now, lots of people suffered in the US. We can talk about the people like working for their own rights and being shot dead by police, the massive like union and police like gunfights that have happened in this country just for people wanting to get more like enough money to feed their kids. So yeah, sure, that happens, but it comes at the expense of a lot of problems with the working class fighting against the owner class.
People die each year from poverty-related causes. I guarantee you that if we had socialism throughout the world, it would be a lot more than 18 million people. So I mean, this whole idea.
Yeah, but I bet
that because there are problems with the existing system, socialism is automatically better is just it's a really dumb, ridiculous argument.
Yeah, and there's a couple of other things too. Like I'm sure that these people.
Well, I mean, I guess in a sense, just because a system has problems doesn't mean another system is necessarily better. You have to prove that it's better. And I think in a lot of socialist countries, they have shown to be able to be pretty competent. Lots of people like shit on Cuba, but I think Cuba has a better life expectancy and they have better health outcomes in general than the U.S. If I remember correctly, it's one of those socialist Latin American states. It's one of them. I don't forget necessarily which one. I think it's Cuba though. And that one was like heralded as like a horrible socialist country. Even like back during the days when they were like super socialist, they were able to make sure that everyone had that they had a higher literacy rate than the U.S. did. So.
People that are dying of poverty-related causes in like the heart of Africa or something like that, it could be attributed to capitalism. Like surely that's not the case.
Yeah. Wait! You're telling me that the problems that are seen in places like Africa or India were places, or even like South Asian countries and the Middle East aren't attributable to capitalism? Are you joking with me? Ever heard of King Leopold III? Ever hear about like the massive slave camps in the Congo? Him killing 10 million people? Like all the lines drawn in Africa predate Africans having control over their own countries. Like, what are you talking about? All those lines were drawn by Europeans to make sure that they get enough like resources, and they divvied up the whole country. Like the scramble for Africa. Did you forget about all that? Like, what are you talking about? All this infighting that's due to like the lines that were drawn through like ethnic groups and lumping them together with groups that they were fighting for like thousands of years. Like this isn't attributable to capitalism. Really? Like at any like it really at all? Like at all? Really? You used to live in Belgium, and the metro station you lived there was called Leopold III. Yeah, we really love holding up people who were the best at like raping and pillaging other people's nations. It's really cool. Yeah, they love that guy. Wasn't he like personally responsible for the death of 10 million people in Africa? Like really to say that the problems that Africa is facing aren't attributable to capitalism is wild to me. That imperialism did not have a massive role to play in what's going on in lots of these countries that are still developing. Lots of these countries only got rid of like their European like leaseholders in the late 90s. What are you talking about? Okay.
Also, when we like in terms of like the debt, so some of the stuff in the middle there, when we're talking about like the vacant homes, the homeless people, 77.5% of U.S. households are in debt. I'm actually surprised it's not more, honestly. Like a lot of those things.
Don't worry, it's higher now.
Things could be attributed to industries that the government has their hands too much involved in.
See, this comes up a lot, but it's very hard to prove this in any like meaningful way. There are lots of like reasons why like debt's a problem, but generally when the government gets involved in like industry, it's for the betterment of the consumers, and it usually almost always is for the betterment of the consumers in the end. And these sorts of people are like, oh, look at these problems. All we just need to do is let the Fortune 500 companies rip through the entire country, do whatever they want, when all they care about is making more money. And obviously everything's just gonna be good, my dudes. Come on, everything's gonna be cool, my dudes. I'm definitely not paid by someone who has a massive political interest in making sure that they get more money. Come on, my dudes. It'll be cool. Just let them go.
So, you know, when we talk about like the student debt bubble, right? We've done videos specifically about this, where
don't do it.
The government has subsidized college so much that it has exacerbated the problem of people having college debt.
No, okay. So I'm gonna push back on this. I'll push back on this till the day I die. Okay, this is entirely untrue. Okay, I think it's called the Bennett hypothesis or something. It's that the government subsidized more student loans, and those student loans inflated the price of education, and education then rose because of that. And now we're seeing the rise of education prices, university prices, because of the student loans that were given. Okay, this is a hypothesis, and that's all it is. Okay, because there has been no academic research to back up the idea that this actually happens. And I think I was actually able to find an article on this. Found it. It's from the Washington Post. It is from 2012, but they put the abstracts. They put the abstracts of a bunch of studies here to prove regarding the relationship between financial aid and tuition. The regression models found no associations between most of the aid packages variables. So that means federal grants, state grants, and loans, and changes in tuition either in public or private sector, nonprofit sectors, universities. This is from the U.S. Department of Education. The commission finds no evidence to suggest any relationship between the availability of federal grants and the cost of prices of institutions, and has found no conclusive evidence that loans have contributed to the rising cost in prices. It's from the National Commission of Costs for Higher Education. After the change in the Stafford loan limits beginning in 2007 to 2008, the price of college increased by the rate generally consistent with prior years. Okay, so even when loans increased, the price of tuition did not increase. Overall, previously conducted analysis are descriptive and do not necessarily indicate a linkage between the increase in student loans and the student loan limits and the changes to tuition borrowing. So yes, this, and he goes on to quote a bunch more articles. But yes, there has been no conclusive evidence to prove that student loans have been a factor, a main factor, driving factor in the increase in the increase of university pricing. It's just universities want to make more money by pushing their prices up even more and driving people more and more into debt.
Our solution is trying to unwind that. Bernie Sanders' solution is getting it more involved. Similar with households. The government has been so involved in kind of the housing industry that it has ballooned prices over the, however many decades. What famously popped in 2007 that led to the 2008 recession. And then healthcare as well. Like, the government is thoroughly involved in these types of things that make it way more expensive.
Wait, do you really think? See, it doesn't work. You cannot have a heart attack and be like doing freaking Hotel Trivago, like price matching in the back of an ambulance to see what heart transplant is going to be most cost effective for you. You just can't do it. The free market does not work in healthcare. It shouldn't be a thing. The real thing that you should be choosing between is your doctor. That's it. The doctor that you like, the doctor that you can work with in the hospital that you like. That's what people really want to choose. Nobody wants to be like sitting there about to get an amputee on the paying like $10 a minute on the hospital computer trying to price match the leg transplant that's going to be least expensive for you. It just doesn't work. You can't do it.
Way less efficient of systems, drives out innovation, causes that the expenses to rise and the quality.
What are you talking about? The government pays for companies to do innovation. What do you mean? And there are lots of innovation that the government has to do. The reason why the government has been in space for so long and not any other company is because it's not profitable to go there. NASA does all of this scientific research. NASA builds all of this technology because the companies don't want to take the risk to do it because there's no guarantee that you're going to make your money back. You can't spend hand over fist billions of dollars into going into space if you're not sure that you're going to get an adequate return for your shareholders. You just can't do it. Lots of shareholders won't allow it, and for rightly so, because their idea is making more money. Why do that when we can do this? Innovation. I guess sometimes if the government's involved in ways that's not good, but generally in this country specifically, the government has facilitated innovation, and the government has pioneered lots of studies, lots of scientific research that they give to the private sector so they can go on with their innovation. That's incredibly reductive to say that it's just wrong. My bad, not reductive. It's wrong to say that the government stifles innovation.
Quality to lessen. And that is largely what I would blame the amount of debt to, not these terrible Mr. Burns-like people sitting in their high castle trying to get as many debt slaves as possible or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I bet you do, Ben.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think that it is true. I mean, I think I misspoke earlier when I said that all of these things have gotten better. I guess it's true that there's more households in debt today, for example, than there would have been 100 years ago. But as you pointed out, of course, the average household is much better off and much wealthier than they were 100 years ago. But still, yes, there are more households in debt today than say 100 years ago, more than there were probably 50 years ago or even 30 years ago. But
you also have to look at like the amount of money, like the relative amount of money that people had in the past. Like today, we have far less disposable income than we did like in the past. And sure, we have like technically more money. We can get like bigger houses and things in general. Doesn't mean that we're necessarily doing better than some other times in America's history, just by itself.
But as you pointed out, this is something that is the result of government pumping tons of money into the system that it shouldn't, encouraging lenders to make loans that they shouldn't make, encouraging borrowers to make
yes, money. Yes, that's the only way people work. It's not for any other reason. People only work for money and getting more money. That's what life's about. Money. Money, because it's crazy how these people think that the only way that they can think of the world is in relationship to how much money they can make, and this is how we get so bad. This is how we got so bad.
To go get loans that they shouldn't get, doing all sorts of things to manipulate the system. This is not a
whoa. Tina too. Thank you so much for the raid. Why are you raiding me? It's such a big raid. Wow. Thank you so much. I feel so honored. Thank you so much for the raid. Hello, everyone. Hi. Well, right now we're going. You know them. I don't know them. Well, it's so glad to see you, and thank you so much. Thank you so much for the raid. Wow. And Tina too, thank you for the follow. Matt, BTW, thank you for the follow. Also Joji, it's nice to see you in chat. I didn't respond to you, but it's nice to see you in chat as well. Thank you for being here. Tank your sundown. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. Wow. I hope you all are doing well tonight. I hope you all are staying safe, and I hope you enjoyed the stream.
Free market system we're talking about here. We haven't had a truly free market system in really ever, probably, but certainly not.
You're right, because it sucks. There's no one saying that a free market, just completely free market there's no like massive anarcho-capitalist vibes going on, because everybody understands that that's completely ridiculous.
In the last 50, 60, 70 years, there's been so many distortions put into the marketplace that when you start pointing out things like, look at all the vacant homes.
So here's what they're going to say now. Capitalism is good. The only problem is the government, and the government isn't going to go anywhere, because nobody wants the CFPB, the FDA. Nobody wants all of these like institutions to go away, because their lives are going to get worse. Okay, we already saw what happened with the freaking opioid epidemic. Nobody wants and like slavery. Okay, a free market system would mean people would just like kick your door down in the middle of the night and take you to their freaking I don't know, like sex dungeon or something. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to be like someone's like furry pet for unconsensually, because we love consent here. Okay, and because of that, we don't have a free market system, and we will never have a free market system unless, I don't know, the anarcho-capitalists on Twitch rise up and somehow seize the means of production and give it all to Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates.
Well, yeah, because lots of people were building homes that they shouldn't have been building, and now they're vacant, and people were owning 2 homes when they shouldn't have had 2 homes. They only needed.
You're right, bud. They shouldn't have had 2 homes.
1 home. And then, but some of this is just factually, just foolish too. Like, for instance, for every homeless person in the US, you have 5 vacant homes. Okay. So the assumption here is that those homeless people, every single one of those homeless people, if the capitalist system wasn't dragging them down, they would occupy one of these homes, right?
Well, I think you'll always, have homelessness for a degree. A lot of these homeless people have, mental issues. And then I feel like a big reason why we don't deal with people with, mental issues, give them the help that they need, is because nobody wants to pay for it. Who gives a shit? If there's for a lot of social problems, we have to get people mobilized to do it against a lot of corporate interests, against a lot of moneyed interests, because if there's no money for it, why are you going to do it? Why? Who cares? The stockholders at Disney don't care about your feelings. I'm sorry, they don't. They care about how much money they make. They'll easily find you in the middle of the night, gut you, make you into a taxidermy toy, and then put you on the freaking Wild Rapids rides at Walt Disney. Okay, if they felt it would make them more money. Also, Tina 2 and Joji, thank you so much for that follow. Thank you. Have I followed you? Can I follow you right now? Can I follow you right now? What do you stream? Do you stream politics? Follow. Here we go. He called me the N-word in DMs. Oh, ban him. Just ban him from everything. I'm not sure if you're not modded in the Discord, are you? I'll make you mod in the Discord. You can ban him from the Discord too. You just ban him. No, we don't take any of that. Just ban him in Discord. He probably wants to get on chat so he'd like screech the N-word before I like instantly ban him. Just ban him from everything. Don't play with that. We don't play those games.
Like
Right.
that's what this is saying, right? If only it was. Well, what about all of the homeless people who have mental illnesses? There's lots of homeless people with mental illnesses. What about all the homeless people who are suffering from drug addiction? Are you saying that it's the capitalist system's fault that somebody is hooked on cocaine or something like that? I mean,
I'm genuinely stunned. Wait, I don't know if you guys heard that. I'm going to turn up the volume a little bit, and I want him to say that again.
what is that with mental
Say it
illnesses?
again.
What about all the homeless people who are suffering from drug addiction? Are you saying that it's the capitalist system's fault that somebody is hooked on cocaine or something like that? I mean,
Are these this has to be a joke. This has to be a meme. It has to be. This has to be a meme. No way someone's literally like unironically like drug addiction has nothing to do with capitalism. Really? Nothing to do with social alienation, nothing to do with feeling disconnected from your community, nothing to do with poverty, because poor people for some reason do drugs a lot. Who could think that? You know, nothing to do with the rate of not caring about mental illness. Going back to why should we care about mental illness if it doesn't make people money? Then why should we care about it? Oh, and also remember the opioid epidemic? Remember like what Britain was doing with opium in China? What are you talking about? This has nothing to do with capitalism. What do you mean? I'm genuinely shocked. What does this mean? What? What? Like, really? You don't remember when this was a massive headline when Purdue was literally lying to insurance companies and telling their the people who talk between the hospitals and the insurance companies to like get the drugs through? Remember when they were like literally lying to the insurance companies? They paid billions of dollars in fines because what did they do specifically? I think it was like when the insurance company called and they're like, does this person actually have chronic debilitating illnesses that would facilitate them needing to be on like be on opiates? Instead, they told them, don't say yes or no, say because would be like easier to fight in court than them literally saying yes. They were lying to insurance companies to get people more hooked on opiate, to get hooked on their painkillers. This is capitalism. What are you talking about? The heroin epidemic is capitalism. What are you talking about? What do you mean? I can't. Yeah, and people taking uppers to be more productive. Like, what are you talking about? Like, this is a massive problem at like warehouse jobs where people had to pee in bottles because they didn't get enough time to go to the bathroom. What do you mean? Like a lot of drug problems stem from people's economic position. I'm so shocked that he unironically believes that like drug addiction has nothing to do with capitalism. This has to be a joke. They have to be lying to me. Where's the camera, dude?
What does that have to do with capitalism? That doesn't have anything to do with it. So even some of the statistics here are really
nothing to do with it. Nothing to do. I'm shocked and appalled. This is wild to me. Really how this person's real. These people have to be fake. It has to be fake.
And so I think that there's some of that too. 77.5% of households are in debt. That includes a lot of really, really young people who have student loan debt.
Tying back to student loan debt with a lot of universities hiking up their prices just so they can get more money out of like 18-year-olds, you know, so they have to go in debt just to make sure that they can have a good life. Isn't it sick? Oh, also tying back to homeless people, homelessness gets exacerbated by a lot of moneyed interest. Guys, it was cultural Marxism. It was critical theory, guys. That's what really did it. It was critical theory. What absolute cringe. Like, homelessness gets exacerbated in a lot of cities because a lot of wealthy people don't want homeless people sitting on their sidewalks because it lowers their property value. Okay, and then police used to come in and bash up a bunch of homeless encampments and kick them out, throw them in jail for being poor. Like people putting up like barriers on benches so homeless people can't sit there. Like there are literally places with like cartoon spikes. Like they made like concrete like pyramid spikes on the ground, like under bridges to make sure homeless people can't encamp there. Like they're doing their best they can to make sure they keep their property value while not caring about the homeless people who live there. Like in California, I think the homelessness rate spiked by like 20% in the last year. Like this had to go to court. Like the Supreme Court had to strike down cities bashing homeless people's heads in for sleeping on the sidewalk. Like, what are you talking about? There's literal violence against homeless people. Like there was I know in California specifically, there was a 65-year-old homeless man who had his tent firebombed because he was dropping someone's property value by sleeping outside their neighborhood in a tent. What are you talking about? You people, I don't get it.
Had any time to work in the marketplace yet, so that's distorting that figure. So some of this is misleading, all of this is misleading, well, and it has a tendency to ignore the benefits that capitalism has made.
Of course.
And
the only thing that's being misled is me from my will to live from watching this video. This is I hate this. I hate that I did this. I love that I did it, but I hate it as well.
It's garbage, really, when you actually start breaking it
Well, I
down.
just and the big headline, obviously, it starts off with 18 million people die each year. It's like just rattle off some of the deaths that have happened underneath like Mao's China and like the
Right.
Soviet Union. Look up Holodomor. It's just like absolutely
You want to look up all the deaths that happened in India with with Britain running the place. You want to talk about all the deaths in Africa with Europe running the place. You want to talk about all the deaths in like the Philippines and China and Japan. You want to talk about all those. You want to talk about all the deaths in the Second World War, that because that was all spurred on by capitalism, like the economic the economic aspects of people in Germany. Japan with their imperialism trying to take over all of especially Southeast Asia. Like this is all brought on by like making more money from fascism. Fascism goes hand in hand with capitalism. What are you talking about? Like I can't believe that you don't want to come to blows when it comes to what system has killed more people. Okay, you don't want to do it. You're not going to end up good. I promise you, you're not going to end up in the positive on that one.
absolutely terrible stuff. So yeah, like you said, it's going to be a whole lot worse if we were to really go full bore into socialism. Just from a graphic designer standpoint, this is a 10 out of 10. I absolutely love this. This is a beautiful.
I think that's about all they're going to say. They're going to like meme around and say that like capitalism is actually good and everyone else is wrong. I don't know, dude. This is incredible. I'm leaving a dislike. That like shaved a couple years off my life with that one. Wow, that was really bad.